Maybe you may be asking, how am I gonna make use of the move Ally Switch? Well, I'm gonna tell you how. First of all, let me start off by saying Ally Switch is a move that is only going to work in double battles. No matter how many times you try to use it in singles, it's never gonna work. And it's especially not gonna work in the Battle Royale, or multi-battles, if you're doing multi-battles with, say, a friend. Ally Switch is only going to do one thing and one thing only. It's going to take the Pokemon that uses the move and swap it with its partner Pokemon on the field. Basically, they're going to swap positions on the field. And this is actually a very interesting move in that even though you don't do anything on the field besides maybe swap your Pokemon around, it can actually change how the battle will flow throughout the turn. For example, if your opponent is going to be trying to hit you with a super effective move, and you use the move Ally Swap, that super effective move can actually turn out to be a not very effective move as they hit the wrong Pokemon. And because it has a priority, it will go before almost any other move goes on the field. So even though it says here it has a +1 priority, it has a +2 priority in battle. Which means there are only a very limited number of moves which will actually hit before Ally Switch takes effect. And among those are moves like Fake Out. So what do we use Ally Switch for? Well, actually I'm gonna tell you which Pokemon can make use of Ally Switch. So one of our first picks for Ally Switch is probably going to be the only Pokemon that can actually learn the move naturally, and that is going to be Alakazam. So Alakazam has a very strong special defense, very strong special attack, and a very strong speed stat. But it's not going to have a very strong defense stat. So if you're going to use Ally Switch, you're going to be using Ally Switch to basically absorb special attacks if you're going to be using it with Alakazam. Because if we're going to go into a move that were a physical attack, it's not going to survive that hit very well. So you want to use it for special attacks instead. Another common Pokemon that you might see running Ally Switch, especially if you pay attention to my channel, is Gardevoir. I, in fact, have a Gardevoir as well that makes use of the Ally Switch mostly to throw off my opponent, keep them guessing what kind of Pokemon or what type of strategy I'm using, and to make them second guess themselves as to if I'm going to go on the attack or if I'm just going to Ally Switch again. So that is what you want to do with the Ally Switch. That is how you want to use it. You want to use it to throw your opponent off their game, make them second guess themselves, make them play the guessing game. They have a 50% chance of if their attack is gonna hit the target they want, or if their target is gonna slip away from their attack. That is precisely what the Ally Switch is meant to do. It's to throw off the opponent and make them play the guessing game. That is how you want to use it, and that's how it's best used. Using it on your Pokemon to give them a slight advantage, or at least give them a chance to survive. However, it does have one slight drawback. In fact, it's probably a major drawback now that I think about it. No, not really a slight. And that is that it does not work on moves that hit multiple Pokemon on the field. Moves such as Discharge, Rock Slide, Earthquake, those moves that hit multiple Pokemon at the same time, Ally Switch is not going to protect against those moves. So, if you're going to use Ally Switch, you have to make sure that they're not using a move such as Discharge or Rock Slide or Earthquake, one of those multi-hitting moves. You have to make sure that you don't hit those moves. Now, what can we do with Ally Switch? Well, it depends on the Pokemon that you breed it, or breed into with it. There is actually a very surprising Pokemon that I have found out that can actually learn Ally Switch, and that is Rapidash. Surprisingly, the Generation 1 Fire Horse Pokemon from, Red and Blue era can learn the move Ally Switch. So this got me thinking, what can we do with Ally Switch to make it so that, we can use it to our advantage? And that is perhaps putting it on a Pokemon you least expect it to learn it or to make use of it. So, picture this scenario. You have your Rapidash on the field. You also have a Pokemon such as Vaporeon on the field, and the opponent has a water type attacking Pokemon. So they go into your Rapidash, they try to use like say a Hydro Pump or a Scald or something like that, just to wipe out your Rapidash, because they know it's gonna go down. You pull out the Ally Switch, and instead of hitting your Rapidash with a super effective hit, they hit your Vaporeon for absolutely no damage. In fact, they do the opposite. They restore your Vaporeon's health because it has the ability Water Absorb. So it's gonna go in, it's gonna take that water attack, it's gonna restore its health. Your Rapidash, meanwhile, is sitting pretty, just not really doing any offensive pressure, but it is gonna mess with your opponent, making them think, are they gonna do another Ally Switch or what? And your Vaporeon, meanwhile, has the chance to counterattack while also restoring its health at the same time. All in the time span of one turn, and all you did was simply swap your Pokemon around. That's all this move does. It swaps the Pokemon around, and it gives your team a chance to do some interesting counterattacks, and it messes with the opponent's mind. It really does mess with their mind when they don't know if you're gonna pull out another ally swap. Was your first ally swap the only one, or was it only beginning? Was it the second ally swap that is really the last, or maybe it was the third time you used ally switch that is really the last time you pulled that trick out? The problem though is ally switch can backfire. If you do it too many times, they're gonna catch on and they're gonna they're just gonna change up their strategy and just focus down the Pokemon that is going to either be swapped or they target down the ally switching Pokemon. Because you use ally switch, you give up half of your attacking power because you don't have an offensive attack when you use ally switch. You're giving up one Pokemon's ability to offensively attack in exchange for the other one being able to switch around and do an offensive attack. That is the downside of ally switch. You can only pull that trick so many times before the opponent eventually catches on and just counters you. So that is how you use ally switch. You use it as a surprise factor. You use it to surprise your opponent, make them second guess themselves. But you can't use it too many times, otherwise they're just gonna adapt to your strategy. Eventually the ally switch will backfire. So you have to really make use of it. Another way you can use the ally switch is for a Pokemon such as Gardevoir, or maybe Alakazam as well. I think maybe Alakazam has telepathy. No, it does not have telepathy. But basically, if you have a Pokemon like Gardevoir with the ability telepathy, you can use it to basically pull out your own multi-hitting moves such as Earthquake or Surf. One of those multi-hitting moves that would normally hit all Pokemon on the field. You swap the Pokemon around so that they don't target that Pokemon down, and because you have the ability telepathy, you won't take any damage from your multi-hitting move, but the opponent will take the full brunt of the attack. Meanwhile, the Pokemon that is hopefully being targeted down by your opponent, such as your Earthquake hitter or your Surf hitting Pokemon, is relatively safe, unless they're also hitting with their own multi-hitting moves as well. So those are just some ways you can use Ally Switch. Ally Switch is a very, very high risk, high reward move. You can use it to throw off your opponent's game plan, and it can basically save your Pokemon's, basically save their time on the field, and give them an opportunity to deal some massive damage while taking minimal damage to themselves, because they're obviously not taking that super effective hit that the opponent wants to deal with, or wants to deal to them, obviously because they're no longer in the same spot. However, it can backfire, because if once you pull it out, they know what you're gonna do. They know what your strategy is. You're only gonna be able to pull out that Ally Switch card maybe once or twice. If you get a third one, then you're really pushing your luck. Eventually, they're gonna figure you out, and they're eventually gonna just all-out attack you and not care what your target is gonna be, or what the target is gonna be. They're gonna try to go for a super effective hit first, and if they realize that they can't, 100% guess which Pokemon is going to be taking the super effective hit, if at all, then they're just going to go for a standard hit. They're just not going to care. Eventually, they will adapt to your strategy, as I said before. So, when you use Ally Switch, make sure you know when to stop using it. You're only going to get one chance. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully, you learned a thing or two about Ally Switch. And hopefully, you pull out some more interesting shenanigans with this move and the strategies I just laid out for you. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I thank you all for watching. And maybe I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye!